Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to go over weeks 2 from the Covered in Grace Bible Study Grow Group. So let's just get right into it. Week 2 we were tasked with reading Colossians chapter 3. So I'm going to read the key scripture that we had, and it's Colossians 3:2. Set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. Essentially, the breakdown of Colossians chapter 3, Paul wrote the book of Colossians, and in chapter 3, the theme here be centered around living a life that not only pleases God, but also setting your mind on things above and rules for a Christian household. So as believers, we are supposed to not look like those of this world. So our guidelines are different than that of the world. We should not be appearing as worldly, but allowing others to see Jesus through us. So in this chapter, Paul is literally breaking down what a Christian household should be like. And so again, that key verse was set your mind on things above, which means prioritizing spiritual values over worldly concerns. Once you decide to live your life for Christ, you are constantly going to be attacked. Satan knows that once there's bugs out here. Satan knows that once you choose to live for God, he's like, I gotta go get that person. I've got to spiritually attack them. I've got to make them feel like they don't need God, when really that's the time to go to God. He doesn't go after those a lot of times that haven't accepted Christ, because he's already got them. They're already living like the world. So whenever you do become a believer, please do not think that, oh, I've accepted Christ and now life is going to be butterflies and roses. That is not the case. And so here we're just reminded through Paul, set your mind on things above. And again, those guidelines to having a Christian household. In verses 12 and 13, I'm just reading off my cliff notes. Here's where we can see that people should see a difference in our behavior. So how are we living? Is our behavior Christ-like, or are we still looking like and acting like the world? So I know for me, music is a way that I feel I can be spiritually attacked. Now, there are some songs where literally they just disrupt my spirit, but I would be lying if I didn't say I still listen to Beyonce, I still listen to Drake, but there are some songs when they just really affect your spirit, and you know that those are songs that aren't pleasing to God. So just be mindful of that as you go on. Verse 20, again, Christian household living. Children obey your parents. And then verses 23 through 24 is work unto Lord and not men. And so I love that scripture, because literally in the workplace, there are so many times where I am like, why am I here? Sometimes you'll have people at your job who you don't necessarily get along with, whether that's the manager or whomever, but you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for God. So when we take upon that mindset of okay, I'm doing all of this for God and not man, there's a difference. And that really sets the tone for kingdom living. So everything we do, we shouldn't be thinking that we're doing it for another person unless that person is God. And so when you change that mindset, it really helps you take a better perspective on how to really live out the Christian life, but also being a witness to others. So next, moving on to the application questions. I'm about to go inside because these mosquitoes are something else. And you'd think they'd be dead right now because it's November here in Texas. But the first question was, how can we as mothers set our mind on things above? A lot of times, being a mom, you're literally so busy taking care of your home, yourself, and just what other tasks you might be doing just as a woman. And so how can we as moms set our mind on things above? So going back to week 1 when I talked about having breaks and taking out time for yourself to really be equipped to handle the day-to-day tasks. That's the biggest thing I can say. Whenever you feel refreshed, you're able to take in more. Next, when you're frustrated with mom life, what are some tactics that can help you from getting overwhelmed? And so for me, like I was mentioning earlier, pouring into yourself. So when I just feel overstimulated, I literally call my mom up. Mom, I'm reading Ryan over. I just need a break. And that helps me to be able to recharge to where I can then go be a better mom, a better friend, a better daughter, a better sister. People are not meant to constantly be in overstimulation on a daily basis. So when you have those breaks, they're able to help you recharge. And that's not even just spiritual wise, like your mental clarity is so much better from that too. And then lastly, I just want to leave you guys with this last example. So I was listening to the radio, 101.7. It's a Christian radio station here in DFW. And the example that the caller had said was, when there are crumbs everywhere in my home, I know that my kids are fed. When the beds are a mess and the house is a mess, I know that my kids have somewhere to sleep. And so those two examples allow us to create an attitude of gratitude through motherhood. And so a lot of times it's easy to complain when the house is dirty or when your child peed on themselves when you're going through potty training phases. But there are some people who can't even have a child. So it's learning to, again, have an attitude of gratitude and finding joy and contentment in the little things versus thinking, oh, well, I wish I had this. You don't know what people are internally struggling with. And so whenever you learn to be grateful and content with what God has blessed you with, He then can give you more. And it's not even just to get more, but also just making our hearts be more like Christ, and that we are truly just being in the present. That's the biggest thing that I am learning in this season, is just being present and being content with what I have, because He's blessed me with so much. So that is week 2. Just wanted to drop that to share with you guys, and stay tuned for week 3.